Chapter 21. Connor sat nervously in the passenger seat of the SUV as Grandpa drove down the highway. They were headed in the direction Connor had already been going. "You're not taking me back to my house?" he asked the old man.
"Do you want to go back there?"
"Not really."
"Well then, there you go."
Grandpa smiled. "Where are we going?"
"My house. I don't live too far from you."
A moment later, the old man turned onto another road. Connor's pulse quickened as he suddenly regretted getting into the car. "Uncle Don never talked about you."
"That's because he doesn't know much about me. I'm his father, but I'm not your father's father."
"So, you're not really my grandpa?"
"Not biologically."
"But you are Jordan's?"
"That's right."
They continued down the country lane, passing a few two-story houses. Connor had stuffed his bike in the back compartment and wondered if he could get it out and ride away if he had to. "Does my uncle know where you live?"
"I don't believe he does. I've been keeping it a secret."
"Why would you do that?" Connor asked.
"Because I was hiding from something," the man said sadly. "But now I don't want to hide anymore."
"What are you hiding from?"
"It doesn't matter."
Grandpa pulled up to a house and said,
"We're here."
The house was large and white, with a lot of windows, a red front door, and two large columns on the front porch. Though it was dark, Connor could see peach trees on the side and in the backyard. Grandpa opened the front door and let him inside. The place wasn't a mansion, but it was bigger than most houses Connor had ever seen. The living room was directly in front, with a staircase to the right. They stepped farther in, and Connor saw a kitchen on the right, past the stairs. He looked up and could see the second floor, split into two areas. A sky bridge connected them, though the bridge itself wasn't connected to any wall. "I like your house," Connor commented.
"Thank you,"
said Grandpa from the kitchen. Connor joined him. Grandpa was pouring a pink beverage into a glass. He handed the glass to Connor. "What is this?"
"Peach smoothie. Try it."
Connor did, and his eyes grew wide. "Wow, that is good."
"I thought you might like it. I make them myself from the peaches in my yard. They're supposed to make you feel good."
The moment the man said it, Connor started to feel euphoric. He was no longer sad or afraid of the future like he'd been after leaving Travis's house. He suddenly wanted to stay here forever. Grandpa smiled at the expression on Connor's face and said,
"We need to talk about you, my boy. I know what you're going through, and I think I can help."
Connor took another sip before asking, "How could you know?" The old man sighed.
"Because, believe it or not, I went through the same thing."
Don held the phone in his hand, unsure of who to call. He'd tried Connor's cell many times, but the calls went straight to voicemail. The phone must have been off. Jordan stood in the living room, looking through the fireplace into Don's office. Don was drumming his fingers on his file cabinet behind his desk, making a hollow thumping sound. "Dad?" Don turned to his son. They were separated by the chain curtain of the fireplace. "Yes, son?"
"Is Connor going to be okay?"
"I'm sure he will be." A moment went by before Jordan asked, "What's wrong with us?" "Nothing's wrong with you. Why do you ask?"
"Because I keep passing out for no reason, and Connor's acting crazy, and—" The boy was suddenly in tears, and Don was horrified to see his child in such anguish. He ran out of his office, up into the living room, and hugged him. "Everything's going to be okay," he told his son. "I promise." Just as the boy stopped crying, the house phone started ringing. Don answered. It was a little after midnight when Don and Jordan approached what looked like a white plantation home 30 minutes away. There were peach trees scattered through the yard, reminding Don of his time in Florida. His family loved peaches. There was no paved driveway, so he parked behind a black SUV. He was nervous and confused. Connor hadn't given any details about who he was with or why. He'd simply given the address and asked to be picked up. Don hadn't even asked his son if he wanted to come along. Jordan was just as worried about his cousin. The two got out of the truck and made their way to the red front door, but before they got halfway there, it opened and outran Connor. He hugged Don fiercely and said, "I'm sorry." Don hugged him back and said, "I'm sorry too." A man appeared at the door. He was old, with white hair and a round belly. He was smiling. Don let go of Connor, but did not approach this man. He knew who he was. "Stephen?" Don nodded at him. "Hello, son," the man replied.